Despite Aaron Rodgers not liking the term, Sunday was a must-win for the Packers to keep their playoff hopes alive. And with an impressive performance and dominating win over the Seahawks, they'll remain in the hunt. Because it was covered, the field was in great condition despite 5 inches of snow. Just a minute and a half in, 3rd and 2, Aaron Rodgers finds the waving hands of Davante Adams. He shakes the defender and gallops into the end zone. That's a 66-yard touchdown. And like so many of the Packer games this season, the opening drive really setting the tone. Then, in the second, after settling for a field goal, Russell Wilson right into the hands of Morgan Burnett. The tone already set on offense is now set on defense. That interception leads to a 1-yard touchdown by Ty Montgomery. That's his first rushing touchdown and the first by someone named something other than Aaron all season as the Packers go up 14-3. Then in the second half, Packers leading 21-3 now. Wilson airs one out, and it's intercepted once again, this time in the end zone by Quinton Rollins. He'd have one of a total 5 interceptions, giving the Packers another chance in their own end zone. This time, Rodgers connects with Jordy Nelson. That'd be his second touchdown of the game and his 12th of the season. And call it deja vu. Another Packers interception, this one by Micah Hyde, leads to another Packers score. This time, Brett Hundley in for a banged-up Rodgers finds Jeff Janis, who pushes in for a final 38-10 stomping. Sports director Brandon Kennard was at the game. He has further coverage. Thank you, Brandon. The Bears are the only team in the NFC North that lost this week, so not much has changed there, except that the Lions, now 9-4, have jumped into the number 2 seed over the Seahawks when it comes to the playoffs. Those are your morning sports. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Kenny Clark.
Yeah, and I actually talked to him after the game in the locker room. I asked him, was there a lot of hype or too much pressure on you guys, the whole #1 run offense versus #1 run defense? And he said, no. He said, if anything, it got us more excited. He said, we want to be at the top of the league. Just 2 more wins for the Packers, and they'll be in the playoffs for the 8th straight year. And one guy that's really had a big impact, Ty Montgomery, the wide receiver turned running back, and we'll see what he can do going forward. We'll have more on him and his impact on today's game coming up in sports at Newsline 9 at 10. Derek, weather was definitely a factor in this game. Both teams struggled to get out of midfield early on. The Texans with just 1 play in Packers territory in the whole first half. The Packers went primarily defensive side of the ball this year in the draft. However, they did pick up 1 skilled position player. That's Trevor Davis, a wide receiver from Cal. They grabbed him in the 5th round, and the Packers organization seems to be particularly excited about this one. Davis, a slender speedster with big hands, is the type of weapon you just can't pass up in the 5th round.
We're so happy to have, Kenny Clark couldn't make it tonight. Unfortunately, with the short week, practices are a little crazy this week, so we decided that Johnny was the perfect fill-in. We always love having you here, and, especially picking your brain after a loss. All right, well, let's get things started right away. First of all, talking turnovers. The Packers with 4 of them on Sunday. 1 interception from Aaron Rodgers and 5 team fumbles. 2 of them from Rodgers, 1 from Jordy Nelson, and 3 of those fumbles resulted in Cowboys recoveries. Johnny, this is so uncharacteristic of this team, especially those 2 players in particular. Why do you think they're all of a sudden struggling with ball protection?
Certainly is, and now you're new to the team this season, so we'd like to get to know you a little bit. You're from Cal, as we've figured out so far. Some other players on your team also from Cal, that would be Aaron Rodgers and Richard Rodgers. And I remember during the draft, when you were drafted by the Packers, you said, it's been a dream of mine, or it would be a dream of mine, to catch a pass from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Well, what's it like playing with him?
I've gotten that question a lot, and it's hard to answer.
You just got to go out there and perform, so that's what I try to do.
Kind of the theme of the Packers the last 2 seasons. You're stepping up with the younger players.
Next man up.
Yeah. Well, now off the field, you're a pretty big outdoorsman. You like to hunt.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Love it.
Have you had any success so far this season?
I haven't. I was actually...
November was not a pretty month for the Packers, winning just 1 of 5 games, but December historically has been much kinder to the green and gold. Under Mike McCarthy, the Packers have won nearly 70% of their games, ranking 3rd in the NFL for the month. But the stress levels at this point in the season, on a short week, are at an all-time high.
This clearly is our biggest challenge from a mental standpoint of our 16-week season. We're playing a short week. Obviously, the stress of the Sunday night and Monday night game, but we're playing an uncommon opponent. We're playing an uncommon opponent that does a lot schematically.
Rough stretch for a while. I don't think we're out of the woods yet. We're just one game better than we were last week. So we got to handle our business at home. We're 3-2 at home this year. We got to finish up 6-2, if we want to have a chance.
Sunday will be the first of 3 home games for the Packers during the month of December, but like Jordy Nelson said, there are no guarantees when you play at home, especially against a 6-5 Houston team. In Green Bay, April Boblin, Newsline 9 Sports. Well, thanks to Louisville's loss last night, the Badgers are on the cusp of climbing at least one more spot in the college football playoff rankings, provided they take care of business tomorrow morning at Purdue. Wisconsin brought in a new defensive coordinator in Justin Wilcox after losing Dave Aranda in January to LSU. But the Badgers defense didn't skip a beat, even when it came to defending Heisman hopeful running back Leonard Fournette.
It was real difficult. I mean, that guy's he's a heck of a player. One guy's not going to bring him down. He's a special dude. So, I've always taken pride in I can look back at these games and say, I've played against, the best.
Despite focusing on Fournette, the Badgers didn't lose sight of the rest of the field, forcing 2 interceptions, a fumble, and allowing just 2 of 10 third-down conversions to be completed, resulting in a 16-14 win for Wisconsin. At Lambeau Field, April Boblin, Newsline 9 Sports. The Badgers, coming off a loss to Michigan State where their effort was in question, was nearly a repeat against Illinois. Not looking exhausted, but flat.
Coach Troy Lavelli had a chance to catch up with April Boblin.
Troy, the zone has been quite effective for you defensively in the first half, but those threes have helped make it a 9-point lead for Dominican that you haven't been able to quite bounce back from. Any change-ups with the 1-3-1, or are you going to stick with it?
No, we're going to stick with it. It's what we do all year. We got to do a better job of taking away the inside. The threes aren't hurting us. We're matching them on the threes. It's just they're killing us inside.
And now offensively, any change-ups there? You've been able to get to the basket.
Yeah, we just got to keep getting Peyton and Max the ball, keep screening and looking for slip opportunities to the hoop.
All right, thank you so much, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
All right, Bob, Chris? Guys, I wish we could have shown every highlight because every single one was great. This has got to be my favorite game of the week yet. Rapids took control of the first half, but then Spash charged back in the second half to tie it up and force overtime. But in the end, it was Rapids' tough defense and resilient offense that brought home the River Jug for the first time since 2011.
Oh, well, just hanging on by a thread. D came up big when they needed to. Guys made plays on offense when they needed to. It was just a total team win, total team effort. And you can tell right here, for the community, for these seniors, these guys have had this goal for a long time, and they've worked really hard in the offseason. Just so proud of everybody.
The energy was just insane out here, and as you could see, Austin Galinsky, the receiver for Rapids, said in the preview today that this win would be better than winning the conference championship. And, well, he confirmed that after the game while holding the River Jug. Live in Stevens Point, April Boblin, Newsline 9 Sports. Back to you guys. Brandon, week 3 seems so early in the season, but really, we're already about a third of the way through the regular season. So that being said, teams should start to be seeing some major improvements over week number 1. Yeah, this was a good one. Again, like you mentioned, the 42 points out there. And you know what? Amherst was just as we could have expected out here, putting up points on offense and being suffocating on defense. And to the Rockets' credit, though, they were able to get up and down the field for 314 total yards. But the Falcons, well, they just would not let them capitalize. Well, you saw that one long pass from quarterback Brandon Petrowski. He actually went 8 for 13 for 193 yards. He also had 55 on the ground. As he and the rest of his Falcons move on in the playoffs, they'll be facing Winnebago Lutheran in Level 3. Live in Amherst, April Boblin, Newsline 9 Sports. In an impressive victory over the Clayton Bears in the Division IV WIAA State Championship match, the Newman Catholic Cardinals also set a few new records. Cardinals are the first D4 team to bring home 4 consecutive gold balls, and leading the charge was Badger-bound Mariah Whalen.
It's not often that you'll find me up before sunrise, but for my first go at a Wisconsin tradition, I made sure I set my alarm early.
The mornings are pretty special.
It's opening day for deer gun hunting, a 9-day season that Wisconsinites live for.
This weekend's kind of like a holiday. It's a reason for everybody to get together. We've seemed to keep the tradition with the family and the group and not get too carried away with just the deer. It's just to get together and have a good time.
So as an honorary family member, we set out for the woods. Lucky enough to join Joey Dullman in his blind, we saw our first deer run by at 6:45. And about a half hour later, a trio of doe crested the field. Typically running northwest to west, the small herd surprised us, running straight into the wind, opposite of our expectations. Joey took aim, but the does dodged his shot.
Damn things went the wrong way on me.
They'd be the only deer we'd see all morning, which was 4 more than most of our party.
This is the windiest year I can ever remember. I didn't see a deer. I didn't see any game of any type. It's been colder, but not as windy.
Now, the wind is not a hunter's friend, causing the deer to hunker down as their senses are dulled by the wind's constant rustling. One of the many lessons learned by the youngsters and newbies like myself.
We have to be patient.
Yeah. And stay warm. Yeah, and you won't always get a deer.
In the afternoon, the entire party, comprised of nearly 30 friends and family, gathered at The Pit for lunch, to warm up, and exchange the morning stories. After that, we headed back out in hopes of driving the deer from their refuge, a group effort that proved successful, despite our inabilities to get the kill. A fun little phrase the Dullmans like to call shoot and release. Overall, the Dullmans shot 2 small bucks.
Oh, nice!
But in the end, it wasn't about the number of points pinned. Instead, it was about the memories made. In Wapaka County, April Boblin, Newsline 9 Sports.